So we got UFC Fight Night tomorrow. 6 great fights. I'll be going over the 5 on the main card. And usually I won't go over predictions on the UFC Fight Nights in general. Usually because there's really only like 1 or 2 good fights on there. But we got 6 bangers. I will give a quick shout to I guess the final fight on the undercards, Kevin Holland versus Darren Stewart. That fight's going to be a banger. And we're going to get into the 5 on the main card. First up, Mackenzie Dern versus Randa Marcos. Mackenzie Dern comes in with an 8-1 record, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, daughter of Megaton Diaz, if you don't know who that is. Probably one of the most respected Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners out there. She's facing Randa Marcos, 10-8, kind of like a grizzled vet. She's a wrestler, but I'm banking on that experience in this fight. We haven't seen much of Mackenzie Dern other than her jiu-jitsu. Her wrestling's not great, or wrestling defense, should I say, is not that great. Randa Marcos only lost by submission once. I expect Marcos to grind out a unanimous decision, move to 11-8. Next up, we got Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann. And listen, I love Johnny Walker. I love his style. He's an eccentric character outside of the cage. But this is the 5th time he's moved camps in his last 5 fights. He started in Brazil, then went to Thailand, then trained Sambo in Russia, stopped with Viras Sahabi in Montreal, arguably one of the most respected coaches out there, trained GSP back in the day. And now he's with John Kavanagh at SBG in Ireland, who's Conor McGregor's coach, obviously. And listen, I have not stepped foot in the octagon. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But for every Khabib Nurmagomedov, there's a Javier Mendez. For every Justin Gaethje, there's a Trevor Whitman. There's a reason these guys stay loyal to their camps. And the fact that he's moving around a lot kind of concerns me. He's facing Ryan Spann, another alum of the Dana White Contender Series. And it'll be an interesting fight. I think both of them have absolutely atrocious ground games. We saw that with Johnny Walker's last fight against Nikita Krylov. He got exposed there. Corey Anderson exposed him in the fight before, so he's on a 2-fight skid. But I'm leaning towards Ryan Spann. I expect to finish in maybe round 2 or round 3, but I would not be surprised if it's an early stoppage in Johnny Walker's favor. He gives a lot of different looks from a striking standpoint. Some of the flying knees that he throws. The flying knee he threw against Mirko Sirkunov was absolutely deadly. What was that? Was like 11 seconds into the fight. Dude's a gangster. It's going to be a fun fight to watch. Next up, we got Khamzat Chimaev versus Gerald Meerschaert. If you don't know who Khamzat Chimaev is, he's essentially Khabib 2.0. I've only seen him in 2 UFC bouts, but it's some of the best ground and pound I've ever seen. Absolutely embarrassed Reese McKee. I forgot the can crusher he fought before that, but it was an impressive victory nonetheless. He's facing Gerald Meerschaert, a grizzled vet of the game, is tied for the most submissions in UFC middleweight history, coming in with a 31-13 record. He's got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, trains at a Rufus Sport in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't see the ground game really helping him in this front because again, Khamzat is something we've never seen before. This guy trains with Gustafsson. He trains with Jimmy Manuwa, 2 respected guys in the light heavyweight and heavyweight division, and they say this is the best guy they've ever seen. And I'm not just taking it from their word. Everything I've seen from Khamzat Chimaev, this guy will dominate. However, I don't think Gerald will go down easily. I don't think this is going to be an easy round 1 stoppage. I expect a round 2, round 3 TKO. And I'm pretty confident it's going to be over 1.5 rounds, and that's at plus 110 right now in most of the books. So I like that line a lot. Next up, we got Nico Price versus Cowboy Cerrone. It's going to be a fun fight to watch. Both guys come in really, pardon my French, they really don't give a fuck. I don't expect this fight to go to the ground at all. Nico Price comes in at a minus 155 favorite, which I think is a little disrespectful to Cowboy Cerrone, grizzled vet of the game, one of the best kickboxers out there. However, I mean, he is coming off a 4-fight skid, lost to Pettis, which I thought he beat Pettis in that last fight. That was the first fight of the whole COVID thing at UFC 249. Lost to Tony Ferguson, lost to Conor McGregor in 40 seconds, and he faced Gaethje before that. So I mean, he's went through a murderer's row. Those are 4 legit guys, and I expect him to get off the skid. I expect Cowboy Cerrone knock him out with a head kick in round 2. Another one of those patented head kicks that Cowboy knocked out Alexander Hernandez with, if you all remember that one. Finally, we arrived at the main event: Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley. First things first, this line is just straight up disrespectful. I'm a big Colby fan. Colby should not be minus 360 going into this fight. I respect Tyron Woodley enough. I think he's got the heavier hands in this fight. However, the pressure that Colby Covington keeps on these guys, we saw against Gilbert Burns, we saw against Kamaru Usman. Tyron can break pretty easily. He's 0 for 10 in the last 10 rounds in the UFC. All of them 50-45s. I think there was a couple 50-44s in there with his fights against Usman and Gilbert Burns, respectively. I expect no different. I expect a 50-45, couple 50-44s, hell, maybe even a 50-43 in there. Colby Covington absolutely going to dominate him. But at minus 350, still a little bit pretty disrespectful in my opinion. I would not hammer Colby Covington. I just if you're going to be a betting man in this fight, I think Tyron Woodley at plus 280 is somewhat decent value. I just don't see it happening tomorrow night, should I say. But yeah, that's all the fights we got. It'll be interesting. 6 great fights. It's going to be a good night. Enjoy them.